So I did get to short the market on Friday. I bought into the QID, which is a double short of the Nasdaq, and I'll show you that briefly. But I wasn't real pleased with the action when we opened, when we gapped lower by 5%. I was expecting a little bit of fluctuation, but because it hit the circuit breaker and the way that everyone was talking on the news, I got caught up in it, and I thought it was going to be a really horrible day. But it didn't work out that way. I waited. It gapped open, and it was just too strong at the open for me. I was looking for a pullback, and if it pulled back, I'd get in. So it pulled back, and I got in, and it fluctuated all day long. Last hour was strange. Everybody started buying at 3 o'clock, and I thought it was just going to be the opposite. I thought they were going to sell at 3 o'clock, and it was going to fall. And then the very final 5 minutes, it was like all the gains that they had made in that 1 hour were lost. Everybody just sold off in that final 5 minutes. So it's a wacky, wacky world out there. Going forward, so there are a number of stocks out there that I'm looking at that are setting up for divergences. And my current thinking, I don't know how right this is, but my current thinking is that I look at these different stocks, I keep track of them, and try and guess at what patterns they're starting to form. So there's a whole number of them that are starting to form daily divergences, but they need to drop. Some need to drop a little bit, some need to drop a lot in order to fill out that divergence pattern. And then given that the market is making these patterns and it looks like support has been broken or really close to being broken, I'm not really sure. I'm guessing we're going to go down a little bit before we go up. Maybe it's going to be another crash. Maybe it's just going to be down a little bit before we rebound and take a hold of things. So this is volume on the Amex, and you see the volume Friday really wasn't as strong as some of the other days, meaning that we definitely, even though gap lower, it definitely wasn't what you call capitulation. And it wasn't a strong buying day either. It was definitely not that. So based on that, you think it's got to stay current trend, and the volume on the New York Stock Exchange was the same. Looking at our other indices, the daily on the S&P 500 just doesn't look good. It looks like it wants to continue lower. So this sort of consolidation going on here wants to continue lower, and the Nasdaq doesn't look good either. In fact, the daily on the Nasdaq I think looks worse than the S&P, and then the hourlies have a similar story. This could be considered maybe a piercing of the support and going back up, but with the markets, it's so volatile. I don't think that you can really count on stuff like that. This is sort of a divergence, but I'm having a hard time buying into it just based on everything else going on and the way that stocks are set up. I'm just not buying into it. This could even be considered a divergence in a really stretched case. And a lot of times I see that this will be the same, but this is much clearly going up. So this should probably not be considered a divergence, although technically it might come up under a automated strategy finder as one. Now over here I want to show you how on the daily some stocks are setting up. So this is Akamai, which is a technology company, internet company, and there were a couple false divergences, but if we have another down day and Akamai breaks through this $12 support, you could have another nice divergence. ACI is a coal company, and another down day, and it's going to set up nicely for a rebound. Agrion, same thing. Chesapeake, another energy company, same thing. Rig, which is an oil service company, same. It's a little bit of a stretch, but it's the same thing. And then a couple titanium companies, TIE and RTI. And if you listen to the analysts on the news, they're all saying how these kinds of companies are completely oversold. That people had to liquidate, and that like even Kara Fetterman on Fast Money was saying that FCX was one that she would consider buying because their cash flow is almost as strong as the value of the company, which is interesting. So even though there's going to be a slowdown, a world slowdown, it doesn't necessarily mean that all the value of the company is gone. So those are things that I'm looking at and watching how they play out.